You see, Baba, that's another issue that Christianity contributed to. If you go and search for the letter that was written by King Leopold II, who forgot it by mistake in his Bible, okay, and gave it to one of the missionaries. In that letter, he states clearly to his missionaries, teach black people that they must pray hard. Teach them. Put it in their subconscious mind, in their conscious mind, and in their DNA. That they must just pray hard, and that they must understand that rich people will not go to heaven. And that poor people, God loves them. Yeah, they must pray hard, and that they must understand that they'll get their lot in the sweet by and by. Okay. Yeah. While he continued to murder more than 10 million black people, severing their hands if they did not meet the quota of the day.
Welcome once more to Dreams Made Possible. But today I must say, I'm not sure if we are ready for this conversation. But if you are not ready, I can only say fasten your seatbelt.
Yeah.
Because we are going to challenge perspectives. And if you allow yourself to be challenged, transformative learning will happen. And you might wake up a better person.
Yeah.
Our guest today is Sakhile Sibiya.
Yeah.
He's asking a question. Black men, are you stupid? Are you already feeling offended? No, it is just a question. Let's dive deep into the conversation so that we know exactly what does Sakhile mean by black men, are you stupid? Welcome, DSB.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for hosting me. I really appreciate it.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I looked at this title at some point and I asked myself a lot of questions.
Yes.
And to be honest, can I list some few answers myself? Black men, are you stupid? They say yes and no. But it is not for me to answer that question.
Of course.
That's why we
got to read the book first, and then answer the question yourself.
Yes.
And then if we have to come back again and talk about whether we think black people are stupid or not, it can be another session.
No, so true, true. But just looking at the back of the book, there are certain things that are making me move, but in a positive direction.
Yes.
In a positive direction. And we'll get into them. But before we dive into them,
yes,
I always like us to understand the man behind the book.
All right.
Man behind the utterances. Who is Sakhile Sibiya?
Sakhile Sibiya, usibiya ngenkomo amadlela phezulu njengenyoni ugumede kandaba abafokazana babiya ngamahlahla mina ngabiya ngempondo zankomo soto obusikeshe wabasa umlilo olwandle wavutha umlilo olwandle bayibuza abantu ukuthi uvutha njani umlilo olwandle uvutha nje sobaswe usibiya usikeshe ugumede kandaba usotobe imina lo.
I cannot be undone.
It's always good for us to remember ourselves and to know where we come from.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sakhile Sibiya was born in Attridgeville.
Oh, right.
Yeah, to my late parents, Flora Elizabeth Sibiya and Richard Mamela Sibiya. And I was raised in Attridgeville, and I went to school in Attridgeville. I attended Vista University for my BCom degree, which I realized later that no, me and BCom and numbers are not friends.
Okay.
So, but then at a later stage, I received a call to ministry. So I am a pastor.
Yes.
Although I usually call myself a pastor with a mind of its own, because you will probably realize that I'm not the conventional pastor that
correct,
you may think I am. and maybe it may come out somewhere in our conversation here today. But I am a pastor. I'm pastoring a congregation, the Christ Centered Chapel of Grace in Soshanguve. And yes, and that's who I am. I'm married to Makwena Sakhile Sibiya, a beautiful woman who is a pillar of my life. I don't know what I would have been without that woman.
Wow.
I've got 3 children, Mandla, Ngobile, and Nondumiso. Yes, Mandla is married, unfortunately lost his wife in a car accident. Ngobile is married, Nondumiso is still at university, studying something in the health space.
Okay.
Yes.
Now that's so beautiful, especially now that you mentioned the family, because I believe the family is the bedrock of the nations that we see.
Absolutely.
You solidify yourself as an individual, you build a family, then the communities come out of it, and then we build a better nation.
Absolutely.
And if we miss it at the family level,
it's a basic building block. If you miss it there, you're gone. Yes.
One thing that I like out of what you say, there are 2 things. Product of Vista. I went to Vista 1992 to 94. And then my father was a priest in the old Dutch Reformed Church at the time. And when you say you are a different pastor, we'll get into it.
Yes.
I remember as a young man talking about politics at the time, challenging him, where is he taking us? At the time, he did not appreciate. And I did not understand why, because he had books, that talk about black theology, which I do not understand, but probably we'll get into
But also, let's face it, there's a cognitive dissonance in being a black man and being a part of the NG Kerk. It doesn't match. You know what I'm saying? It's like worshipping your slave master. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying it doesn't match. It's like oil and water. They don't mix. And maybe it's a subject for another day for a lot of other churches. But that don't make sense to me for a black man to be part of.
Let me tell you, it's my father.
Yes.
My sister firstborn, we are 7 at home.
Yes.
So we've got only one lady. My father and mother had only one girl.
Yes.
And then testosterone, 6 of us.
Yes.
So she's married to a pastor in the same church. So when my father was studying theology, that's where they met.
Yes.
Second born, in the same church.
Yes.
So I'm wondering after this conversation. Let's have a conversation.
I still don't understand how you can be a black man and tell me you belong to the Anglican Church. The church of the people that enslaved your people, took your land, took your wealth, and took your life. I just don't understand. Ganja. How do you go to this person who came and stole everything from you, dehumanized you, and turned you into less than an animal, and then he pitches up a church and you go to the church?
Yes.
I really don't understand.
We're going to get
but
into
that's
it. I love it.
Other things. We have got a lifetime of discussing that as black people.
Yes.
I don't understand how you can be a black person and belong to the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church is the first institution that authorized slavery of black people as a trade. How do you then, as a descendant of your ancestors, go to a church and be part of a church which authorized slavery of black people and said you can take black people, enslave them, and make a trade out of that?
On that note, how did you end up in ministry?
Ministry is a calling, Baba. Ministry is a calling. I served under my brother, Archbishop Abraham Sibiya, who is still Archbishop today, and I served under him, and I had a love for ministry. But then I evolved over a period of time. I started seeing Christianity with some different eyes. I started questioning a lot of things within Christianity, and to this day I still question them. You know what I'm saying? I still question Christianity. My feeling is that Christianity as an institution. It stood by, folded its arms, and watched as black people were enslaved, as black people were hijacked from Africa and kidnapped from Africa, as black people were exploited, as black people were manipulated. And Christianity as an institution stood, I don't know whether in amusement or in silence, and said nothing and did nothing. I'm a Christian, I'm a pastor. I have this question, and I would love to have this question answered, hopefully before I die, because it hurts me. It hurts me. Because Christianity is supposed to be about justice and goodness. But we're looking at another story here.
But now, growing up in a religious home, which was a Christian home, I did ask that question at some point, as I had said in the introduction. But let me ask it this way. When you ask this question, probably some answers come back. They are not coming from the people that are practicing Christianity or who have allowed it to happen. But having said that, what answers do you think what answers do you think come through to your own question? Why did we land up there? Is it because we feel that we are intimidated? Is it because we are indoctrinated? Were we brainwashed? How did we land up there?
We first have to understand that the first converts of Christianity, which was our great, great, great ancestors, all right, did not embrace Christianity because they loved it. They were forced into it. Okay. Go and watch 12 Years a Slave.
Yes.
And see how people were made and turned into being Christians. You were turned by force into being a Christian. You didn't have a choice. And but over a period of time, it became acceptable. It became acceptable. And but that does not absolve us from asking the question. If the Bible is about justice, and the Bible is about goodness, if the Bible is about man loving another man, if the Bible is about we are all created in the image of God and after the likeness of God, how does it come about that somebody else who says he's coming to introduce this good news of the gospel end up turning you into a slave, turning you into a kafir, turning you into somebody that is a tool of exploitation, the very person that introduced that to you. And I'm saying, I'm sorry, but I need answers to this. I'm sorry, I need this to be answered.
So, in the ministry, in the fraternity of, let's say it, Christian ministry.
Yes.
These conversations, in my view, should be happening. Are they happening?
Not quite. I'm a goat amongst sheep at the moment. I'm the black goat amongst white sheep. But eventually they will come to understand that this needs to be a song that we all sing from the same song sheet. And then we need to ask people. I don't even see white pastors condemning the injustice that was meted on black people. I don't see white pastors condemning apartheid. And it's as if they've shoved it under the carpet and said, you know what, let's forget about it. We cannot forget about it. The inequality that exists in our society is as a result of apartheid. And I'm sorry, we cannot just shove it under the carpet because the gap is so wide. And we need to first start having conversations about bridging the gap, and then start talking reconciliation and all other things. And then maybe after all that has been done, we can hold hands around the bonfire and sing Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya.
So when did this consciousness come to you?
Oh, Baba, I can't put a time and a date, but I grew up
experiences.
Yes.
Or even experiences.
I grew up questioning a lot of things.
Okay.
I grew up questioning a lot of things. And I remember I would question my brothers and I would question my parents. And But then I remember the first movie I saw that sort of drove the point home that there is an issue between black people and white people. All right. It was long before the Steve Biko movies were open. I saw a movie called American History X. And in that movie, you see institutionalized hatred by white people towards black people.
Yeah.
That sparked something in me to say, you got to find out more about this. Yeah. Where does this come from? And then, to cut a long story short, I researched, I asked questions, and I was brainwashed by apartheid. I was one of those people who were so brainwashed about apartheid that I thought ANC was a communist movement, and when they come into the country and they rule, they are going to stop the worship of God and all those things. I sat with a gentleman called Apostle Yaningwale, and he taught me about politics. Otherwise, until then, I was a complete product of the brainwashing that came from the apartheid media. But then I started reading books. I started asking questions. I started observing. And most of the things that came to me, I must say, they came from observation.
More than anything.
More than any other thing. And I observed, analyzed, asked questions, and drew conclusions. Because I was unsettled. I was unsettled with the way things were. So yeah, that is the situation.
Names come to mind. Alan Busak.
Yes.
Bishop Tutu.
Yes.
Let's say latest now, Archbishop Makgoba and the
yes.
Now. Would we say, going back to your earlier comment about the leaders in church not doing something about it, would they be some of the people that you believe could have stood up, or they didn't stand up, or what is your sense?
They stood up. Those need to be given credit.
Yeah.
They stood up. All right. Now I'm talking about, we don't realize, I'm a pastor. There's a congregation that gathers to come and hear me speak, whether I speak good news or I speak nonsense. But every Sunday, tomorrow I know there are people who are going to gather to listen to what I have to say. All right? Mm-hmm. And many pastors are in that situation.
Yes.
Looking at the situation that we have and we are sitting with, our status quo as black people, can you imagine if black pastors can take up the responsibility of saying, I'm going to spend few minutes every Sunday enlightening our people. Enlightening our people. And I'm going to draw something closer here. This book is a wake-up call to black people. It's a rude awakening to black people. It is a call, a clarion call to black people to wake up and smell the coffee. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because there's 50 million black people in this country. 50 million black people in this country. There's 5 million white people in this country. These 50 million black people rely completely and entirely on 5 million white people for everything. For the food we eat, for the clothes we wear, for the drinks we consume, soft and alcohol, for sometimes education, for banking, for insurance, for financing. 50 million black people. What has happened, Baba? How can these 50 million people, are we incapacitated? Are we physically incapacitated? Or are we mentally incapacitated? To the point that we cannot even produce our staple food. We need a white man to come and deliver this mealy at our doorstep, or we are going to starve to death. We need a white man to send his trucks into our townships. Oh, we won't have bread. We need a white man to sow a shade for us. These things are not rocket science, Baba. These things are not rocket science. You can learn them. You can position yourself as a people. You can decide this is the first industry that we are going to take and run with it. Our dependency on white people has tended to be a curse on us because it has completely made us, it has made us to be people who don't have a vision for self-determination. We don't have a vision for self-determination. Slindumulu. Bas! Kom help ons asseblief. As jy nie ons help nie, ons is 'n groot kak.
And that's all right.
Yeah.
Because we have now integrated it into us.
Yeah, it's kak, maar it's all right.
Yeah, yeah. So, if someone were to say to you, we are where we are because of colonization, what would you say?
We are definitely where we are because of colonization. And firstly, let me say to you, my brother, I am not about black politics. I am about black economics. I am about black economic advancement.
What's the difference? Politics and black economics?
Politics is the I leave politics to the politicians. And I consider economic advancement as something that any group of people can do. Because racism is not about loving and hating people of a different skin color or of a different culture. Racism is a contest between different groups of people for controlling the wealth and the resources of the country. And it's such that those who are able to control the wealth and the resources of the country are able to use the power that they received from controlling these resources to exploit and oppress the others. The word race means a group of people from a common descent. Let's say black people. The word race also means a contest of speed from here to there.
Okay.
Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we are a group of people from different descents who are competing for the resources of our environment. And the ones that have got the power of resources, who've got the money, call them white monopoly capitalists, or I don't care what you call them. Those are the people who are able, as a group, to oppress and exploit another group.
But I think in that process, in what you're saying, especially the last part, as a group, what you see on social media or even in groups, physical groups, we always say Jews are holding each other together. Afrikaners are holding each other together. We can mention other races. And the question is, what's wrong with us? And we always say we must do something, but it ends up there. How do we break that? Exactly.
That is our biggest problem. That firstly, we don't realize that this is a group issue. This is a group issue. Now, let's step back a little bit. Black people, are not part of the economy of South Africa. They are the economy of South Africa. That's something that black people have to understand and realize. They are the economy of South Africa. How can I prove that? Let's assume I have so much influence that I'm able to influence and convince all black people to stop buying from ShopRite. Let white people buy, let any other race go and buy from ShopRite Checker. What do you think will happen to ShopRite Checkers? It will collapse in 3 months. The same with Pick and Pay, the same with Edgar's, the same with any major retail outlet out there. That is the power that we have. We have got so much power that we sustain malls. Now, the other time I went to Manlin, I don't know what's your part of Manlin, you know? And I realized that white people don't shop in Manlin anymore. It's mainly black people. 95% of black people shop in Manlin. Now, if you can sustain Manlin, you've got serious economic power. If you can sustain Wonder Park, you've got serious economic power. Now, that is why they are planting all these malls in black townships, because there's power, there's money. Now, the question is, who are we empowering with this money? We're empowering everybody else but ourselves.
True.
Everybody else but ourselves. And this is where my message comes. Unless we black people learn to support one another and go through the teething problems of supporting one another and overcome the issues of black people not having good customer service and overcome that, even if it takes us 30 years to do so, we will remain economic slaves of white people forever. Because what we are finding ourselves in right now is voluntary economic oppression. We are volunteering it because we claim white people are the cause of 95% of our problems, but we spend 95% of our income on them.
Yes.
So it doesn't make sense. You know, if you spend 95% of your income, of your disposable income on white businesses, then it means you leaving yourself with 5% to circulate in the township. And of that 5% that circulates in the township, probably 95% of that 5% goes to Pakistanis and Somalians.
They have
What are you left with
now? Yes.
What are you left with?
Yeah.
What are you left with? So our townships, our environment are a reflection of the amount of money that circulates around them.
But it's not coming back to benefit us. So that
It's not coming back to benefit us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not coming back to benefit us. But because we need to understand that 160 years ago, about 160 years ago, that was when Indians came to South Africa as indentured laborers to work at the sugar cane fields.
Yes.
160 years later. 160 years later. Where are they?
Definitely.
In comparison to black people, they employ black people. Why, Baba? Why? Let me tell you. Let me ask you. Where do you shop? Where do you do your grocery?
Not far away from my house here. There's a shopping mall. It's in the white suburb.
In the white suburb.
Correct.
And there are Indians that stay around here, né?
Yeah.
Of course.
Definitely.
Have you ever seen an Indian pushing a trolley in ShopRite? Think of it and tell me, when last did you see that? Think carefully.
We're not saying checkers here, we're saying ShopRite.
ShopRite, Checkers, I don't care. Pick and Pay, I don't care which one.
I have seen, but very few.
Very few.
Very few.
Okay. When I was writing this book, I went to Durban, which is the highest population of Indians, to observe this specific issue. And I went from supermarket to supermarket of their various sorts. There are Indians that work in those supermarkets, but there aren't Indians that buy from those supermarkets. When last did you see an Indian queuing at Standard Bank to bank money? It doesn't happen. When last did you see an Indian leaving Edgar's with plastics full of clothes? It doesn't happen.
So they eat. So where do they get that from?
Danke bas. Danke my bas. I have a friend of an Indian who stays in Pretoria East. And he told me, I buy my groceries and everything from Lodium. He drives from Pretoria East. He goes to Lodium. He understands the importance of supporting his own people. Money must circulate amongst people. He doesn't go and shop at Menlyn. He doesn't go and shop at whatever. He goes to Lodium. He buys clothes. He buys food. He buys everything there. Can you imagine if black people had that mindset?
Yeah.
Can you imagine, brother?
So the politics when we grew up, and you made a good distinction, politics and economics, but
Yes.
some way, somehow, they always...
They always overlap.
Yeah, they always overlap. We have been taught, especially about, and let's say the ANC was the biggest political party, and they've always espoused non-racialism, let's live together. So should our focus be on ensuring that we buy across nations, or should it be to say black men buy from a black man?
I am strongly for the idea of a black man buying from a black man. I'm going to launch something towards the end of the year,
Okay.
which is going to be hashtag 25% black by black. Why? Because I'm saying, let's start with spending 25% of our disposable income on black people. Because you know what? There is no ways you can spend 100% of your disposable income on black people. The infrastructure does not exist.
Yes.
It does not exist. Let me demonstrate this to you. Let's consider this to be a card. A card, like an ATM card. There's 10,000 rands in this card. And I give you the pin of this card. And I say, Budaki, go and spend this. I'm giving you 2 hours to spend this money. 2 hours and no more. If you ever not spend this money within 2 hours, you're going to forfeit this money. Now you can go to any mall. Don't buy luxuries. Don't buy alcohol. Buy grocery items that are needed in the house. And I give you that. And I say, go and buy. You go to this mall that you usually buy from. And within 2 hours, you will have finished this money. True or false? True. And let's turn the tables around. I give you this card. And I say there's 10,000 rands in here. But engraved in the chip of this card is that you cannot cheat. You must only buy from black businesses. And there's 10,000 rands. I'm giving you 2 hours to spend on black businesses, grocery items, daily needs, things that you use on a daily basis. No alcohol, no luxury. You're not going to buy sneakers with this. Just stuff, food, items. Now tell me, I guarantee you, most of the money will be back in this card. because you're going to struggle to find one black person who will sell you a bag of meal.
So it goes back to the infrastructure.
You're going to struggle to find one black person to sell you tea, sugar, milk, toiletries.
Yeah.
And who sells that? Who amongst us black people sells that? No, we've given it away. We've given it away to white people, to Indians, to Pakistanis, to Somalians. Well, what does it say about us? We are naked. One said, fuck all. We are just consumers. That's all we do. Lousy, thoughtless consumers who cannot even see an opportunity of saying, why can't I sell meal? Why can't I sell sugar?
Yeah.
And actually, I'm giving black people this challenge. Go to those Pakistanis and Somalians. Give them a month's notice. Let them leave your garages. Black people have run spaza shops before. Let them run spaza shops on their own. I made a research the other day on bread alone. You know, bread. There's about the market for bread in South Africa. 3 billion loaves of bread. You can go and do your own research. 3 billion loaves of bread per annum. And my research told me that most of that market of bread is sold in the townships. Okay? In the spaza shops, most of the bread that is consumed by black people, they are buying it from spaza shops. There is a margin of R1.50 for every loaf of bread you buy. And if you check that, it's about 3 billion rands that the Pakistanis make from bread alone. 3 billion rands per annum.
Wow. And this could be bread coming from your Albanese, your Saskos.
Thank you, boss.
Which are not even black owned.
Which are not even black owned. But it's money that could be in black pockets. Now, where is it going? It's going to Pakistanis. It's going to Somalians. Why? Are we lazy? Are we really willing to forfeit and forego 3 billion rands that we could put in circulation in our own communities? Asakhulumi ngama cold drink, asakhulumi ngama lost straw, asakhulumi ngani, and
there's also this narrative that I have learned or heard of that seems to sell the story that we are helpless pawns, if you like, because there's somebody behind the scenes who's pulling these things. You know, there's Johan Rupert who owns everything. You know, they will do everything to make sure that the black man does not suffer.
If you feed the monster will grow. If you starve the monster will eventually die. So stop feeding the monster. Starve the monster. And start feeding your own people. But hey, eso shanguve sine kunalabantu abathengisa isinkwa. Fagumoya. I buy fagumoya every day.
What does that mean?
Fagumoya is I think Alexander Babita ubaba kasebenzi, but this is bread that song for quarter. But song for quarter in the townships. There are a lot of people, black people, that sell it in the dining. And then we need to find a way of empowering those people to buy more and more from them. You know, the saddest thing, my brother, is that, and this I say with a broken heart, you and I are economic slaves of white people. Claro. There's no buts and whys about it. because we can't survive a day without consuming something that we have not produced, which has been produced by white people. Now, do you have children?
Yes, two.
Two. All right. Sometime you're going to have grandchildren. And at a later stage, you're going to have great-grandchildren. Would you love? Are you okay in your conscience? La overlwen lako. Are you okay with the issue of seeing your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren in the same situation where you find yourself in right now, where you are completely, totally, and hopelessly dependent on a white man for your existence?
Capital letter no.
Capital letter no. And if it's capital letter no, bolded and in red, with a 10 exclamation marks after that, then you and I have to start thinking differently. You and I have to start thinking differently, start doing things differently, and start paying the price. You know, people keep on telling me, I can't go and help black people and give Butaki business. He is like most of the black people, run away with the money. There is a generation that's going to have to pay the price. There is a generation that's going to have to make the sacrifice for us to move from where we are to where our grandchildren will be having confidence in doing business with one another.
And which generation is that now that will make the sacrifice?
This generation, you and me, and our children. We've got to take that decisive decision so that our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren will be in the mainstream of the economy. I asked Baba, if nobody is willing to make that sacrifice, your great-grandchildren will be in the... And I pray God spares you until you see your great-grandchildren. And if they have to run to ShopRite for grocery, then it means you have been useless. You and your children were useless. You did not do anything to make this world a better place for your generations. We must be the kind of generation that is willing to plant a tree today, knowing that we will not live long enough to sit under the shade of the tree and enjoy the fruits of the tree, but be motivated by the fact that our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren will sit under the shade of this tree, will eat the fruits that come from this tree, the fruits that will each have a seed in it, and they can use the seed to multiply what they have. And if you and I are not prepared to get into that space, Baba, we are a generation that is useless, hopeless, that should never have existed, because we are going to die and leave our children in the mess that we struggled with.
You know, of late, and actually that's honestly my passion, Sibiya. On my TikTok, I mostly of the time talk about some of these things, especially around how do we change the course of a black person? Probably not to the extent that you're talking about. And one of the things that I said just now recently was that my father was born 1940, my mom 1942. And in that space, us being 7 at home, we came to a point where I had to build a house for them. And the brothers came to assist in that process. But what I'm saying is that my children Okay, I said 2.
Yes.
But then I've got my partner who has got her child, who happens to be my child now. So 3 children in the process. So those children are not an investment, because our parents used to say, you are an investment so that you can come and help me out. But I'm saying these children, we should invest, we should help them to grow so that they can face the future with pride without having to come and rescue us. Now, the question that I have is, you spoke about us having to stand up. But what I have realized is, like, the consciousness movement is like anything that is positive. There are few of those people. The naysayers, the noisemakers are so many.
I meet
You've
that
got
every
to
day, Baba.
shout 3
I
times
meet
out.
that every
Yeah.
day. I fully agree with you. Most black people are unconscious about being black. Not unconscious about being black. They are very conscious about being European. That's why a black person, a stupid black person, will go and buy a Gucci bag for 50,000. This person is not conscious about being black. He's totally unconscious about being black and conscious about being European. And the issue of thinking white is better than black, and the issue of thinking I can boost my own self-worth, my own self-esteem by wearing something that a white man has crafted with his own hands. When I wear something like this, that's crafted by the hands of a black man, you know, I wear this thing so proudly. Ivela ezandleni zomuntu omnyama. And God, now you can come with your Gucci t-shirt. You mean nothing to me, because you've just enriched somebody who cares nothing about you, who will never invest a cent in your community, who does not even know the primary school you came from. You went into a primary school, you know how it's struggling. Now you have 50,000. Instead of helping that primary school with 20,000, you're going to take that 50,000, you're going to buy a stupid, useless Gucci bag. Because you are insecure. You feel inadequate in your black skin. You need external measures
To validate you. And actually, bit by bit, I think you're getting me into some elements that you have written on in your book. Now, you mentioned Gucci bag. I'm not justifying it at all, because, but at least you can keep it there. Now, the trend that I have seen is people gathering in these watering holes, buying this expensive alcohol that is going to be urinated the same night or the next day. So for me, it's about the psyche of a black man. And with that, maybe you have already articulated some of the things. You say at the back of your book, you say, has someone cast such a strong spell upon us that we celebrate exchanging our souls, identity, birthright, and inheritance for a meager bowl of ready-made stew offered to us by other races, and call it progress and development? And for me, the key word is the last part of your question. Call it progress and development, which goes back to what you were asserting now about gravitating towards being European. Talk to us more about that. You have already touched on it, but talk to us more about that. Because when we go to cars, you have mentioned that we might not have everything to sell as black people. Probably that's why we buy things like your BMWs or whatever types of cars that we have. But what has a white man, an Indian person, other races done that has solidified who they have become to a point that we don't see ourselves?
Thank you very much for asking that. Within colonization, there was a clear agenda to make us hate ourselves. We hate ourselves. That is why as soon as a black man has a little bit of money, he tries his best to escape blackness. To a lot of black people, blackness is something to be escaped from. And how do you escape from it? You move to a whitely dominant residential area. You take your change. Yes, you speak English, a very lousy language, a very lousy language called English. And then you stay in their community, you go to their churches, and then you let me tell you, there was a time when Rima, I'm from a charismatic environment, so let me speak around that. Rima Bible Church was 100% black, white church. It was 100% white church before. Now it's 100% black church. What happened to all those white people? Did they disappear? Is there a rapture that took place that we don't know of? No. The more black people come in, the more they leave. The same with CRC, the same with Hatfield Christian Church, the same with all these other white churches. Not only that, I stay in Pretoria, I stay in Soshanguve. I know Orchards used to be a predominantly white residential area. It's now a black residential area. We call it extension O, Soshanguve. Schools, Acacia Lyre School. Acacia Lyre School. It used to be completely white student population, 100% white student population. It's now 100% black student population.
Yeah, you're right in terms of the community, because 2 weeks back,
yes.
Yes, you can see the infrastructure mimics and still resonates with that, but in terms of and based on just that time I had, you can see where Ringile over.
Where?
So the white people have moved out.
Have moved. I don't know where they go. Where do they go? It doesn't matter. But they've moved out. So, would we rather be with people that tolerate us, or would we rather be with people that love us and embrace us? But how are we going to love ourselves and embrace ourselves when we've been taught to hate ourselves? So that's where it starts. Our self-hatred has driven us to the people that actually hate us.
Let's talk about us being black.
Yes.
So I don't know, did I move it too much out? So let's talk about us. We say white people move out of this.
They always do.
Okay. So now we also have got this thing in some instances. How do you feel? At some point, I've seen instances, okay, where this park is clean. How do you feel now? Hey man, little now we take it backwards.
But there's no condition, there's no mental condition of a black man that has not been influenced and impacted and caused by a white man. Let me make an example. Now, let's help me work through this.
Yes.
Take a child, also called Deep Slot. Let's take 100 children from Deep Slot at random who are doing grade 1. Random. And then let's go and take 100 children from Houghton who are doing grade 1. These are white children. These are black children.
Yes.
And let's track their lives through.
Yeah.
How many of these 100 children that are staying in Deep Slot, how many of them are going to complete their matric?
Wow.
How many of them are going to be in university? How many of them are going to complete and get a job? Let's take an estimate. how many will end up completing their matric?
If not mistaken, unless I'm speaking under correction,
Yes.
I think the Department of Basic Education say they lose almost, but it's higher percentage, man.
Yeah, but
30%.
remember, we're
Not
talking about
50.
deep slot here.
Yes, yeah. Let's say 50%, 60%.
50%. And this side, how many will complete their matric?
Can even add to the 100%.
Yes.
120, yeah.
Yes, you can even.
Yeah.
What causes that, Baba?
I don't know.
Systemic injustice.
Yes, I wanted to say systemic, yeah.
Systemic injustice. These children are put in a situation where the odds are against them. These children are put in a situation where the odds favor them. And that's what we talk about when we talk about systemic injustice. You cannot expect the same results from the children who come from deep slot and the children who come from deep slot because of the environment from which they come. They are most likely to litter. They are most likely to do that, and they grow up with it. I see black people driving BMWs, cabriolets, drinking Heineken, and throwing it out of the window.
In the township.
In the township.
But they keep it in their cars from the suburbs.
Yes.
I've seen that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's sickness of the mind that has been caused by the colonial agenda of getting black people to hate themselves. So unfortunately, we fell for that trap. And unfortunately, unless you and I continue on podcasts like this, that will be watched by thousands and thousands of black people, that will start changing their mindset.
Yes.
I don't blame a black person.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll take a lot for you to make me blame a black man and say a black man is useless because a black man has been put in a situation where the odds are against them, and a white man is put in a situation where the odds are in his favor.
Yeah. And I agree with
and let's take that thing further. Let's take girls. 50% of these from deep slot are girls. What do you think will happen to these girls by the time they are 16? Pregnant? Probably
Raped.
2 children? Raped? Yes. What are the chances of that happening here? Slim. And so this girl at 14 will have a child who will in turn at 14 have another child.
Yes.
Who will in turn at 14 have another child. So you'll be a great grandmother by the time you are what? 14 plus 14 is 28 plus 14 is less than 40.
And not because this child,
not because
got
the environment,
just the environment.
The environment where the mother is so young, utlela ngwana o groove le yena. Ngwana wa ikhudisa ntate o mongwe ka mo next door o mo fa 50 rand. And then ngwana o nana okay, le nna nka etsa. Dithaka tsa di a mmotsa hey, I'm getting 2,000 rands a month for having 4 kids. That's why I've got nice hair, I've got a nice jean, I've got nice sneakers. Why don't you go that route? You see, that is systemic injustice that puts people to think in that particular way. Remove that. Remove these people from that environment. Put them in an environment that empowers them. You'll see different results.
Now, your articulation of those challenges is so succinct for me, and I believe for the viewer at home. You've got this old man, 50 rand, who's got the 50 rand giving you to the child. Okay? And I get you. We're not justifying.
It's not justified.
But we understand. I think there's a distinction there. Okay. Enter into the frame, the politician. And I can put that on record. Those people are not leaders.
No, we don't. Those people are not leaders. They are mafias.
Yes. They enter the frame. Now we go back to your ministry. Now you've got other charlatans getting there to say, hey, we are here to guide your spirit, your welfare and stuff. So what I'm trying to say is you've got politicians that are stealing from the soul, from the jar, the economic jar of a black person who should stand up. There are pastors who are coming and now stealing, teaching people that the way out of this mental, physical, financial poverty is to stand on the corner and pray until you are red in your face. Now, this You said systemic, and I agree. This problem is huge, is humongous. How do we get to a point where we're saying, and you have said that it starts with us, but maybe let's get there. It's huge.
It's huge, Baba. It's huge. And eventually we need to have a plan as Black people. We need to have a plan. We need to have some sort of a Blackie forum. We need to have some form of a solidarity. We need to have some form of engagement.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at something that that will educate Black people. You see, Baba, that's another issue that Christianity contributed to. If you go and search for the letter that was written by King Leopold II, who forgot it by mistake in his Bible, and gave it to one of the missionaries. In that letter, he states clearly to his missionaries, teach Black people that they must pray hard. Teach them. Put it in their subconscious mind, in their conscious mind, and in their DNA. That they must just pray hard, and that they must understand that rich people will not go to heaven, and that poor people, God loves them. Yeah, they must pray hard, and that they must understand that they'll get their lot in the sweet by and by. Okay. Yeah. While he continued to murder more than 10 million Black people, severing their hands if they did not meet the quota of the day. So that is why I say to you, Christianity has got something to answer to. I want to see I want to see white pastors come in their numbers, come and organize an organization or an association of themselves, and come and say, we did you wrong. We did you wrong. This is what we did. 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 Because the very Bible that the white people came here with and told us not to kill, they used it to kill us and to enslave us and to do that. So that's where it comes from. And furthermore, what we need to understand is that we need to build ourselves. We need to build ourselves, Baba. If we don't find a way of reconstructing ourselves, we are going to be in this mess for a very long time. Because the mess is in the mind. The mess is in here.
Actually, you are saying here, rethink, a Black man must rethink his attitude towards himself and his race, break the enslaving yoke of white dominance and supremacy, divorce himself from being associated with mediocrity, passivity, and filth, rebuild his communities by learning the ancient wisdom of circulating money within his own race, and create a new and inspiring legacy for future generations of Black people. Now, we were talking with the team here at some point. When I look, is it Solidarity? No. Or is it, what is this other white civil?
AfriForum.
AfriForum. If not mistaken, they went out and said, families contribute 10 rand. Just 10 rand. I mean, just 10 rand. And
minimum 10 rand.
Minimum 10
Those
rand.
that could do more, they did more.
But let's say even if they stuck only to 10 rand, here they are, they build a university, 310 million.
Yes.
We say we've got a university in Mpumalanga. I'm yet to see the structure.
I'm yet to see.
It's
a college that, it's a teacher's college that was converted. It was not built from scratch.
So I'm making that example and going back to what you say here about rethinking our attitude and the enslaving yoke, because, and again, I'm going to the politicians and truth, like I
Oh,
said,
no, truth.
I don't respect them. Honestly, I don't. And when a call is made like that to say black families contribute 10 rand, I'm telling you, the first person who will stand up will say our people are poor. They cannot afford a 10 rand.
Yes.
And make no mistake, there are most families that live below the bread line,
Yes.
below $1. $1 is what now? 19 rand, 18 rand?
19 rand recently.
I know they are there. But I've got this view that says such narratives sometimes tend to continue to enslave us, because for everything, like we said earlier, we put it into the universe and it continues to say enslave us.
The first person to crush it is a black man.
Yes.
That is why, before we launch too many things, we've got to work at the mind of a black person. And we can have another conversation at another day about the plans I have to address the damage that is in the mind of a black man. Because until you do that, until you reverse that, until you unlearn things and relearn new things, there's nothing that's going to happen. A black man will cry about contributing 10 rand when he has 24 pack Savannah in his cooler bag.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
We shouldn't say those things, right?
We're not going to, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But we need to find a way of confronting them, fearlessly so, and snatching them out of the fire, and inspiring them, and casting a vision of what could be in the future if we come together as one. Because the greatest enemy of black people is that they are not united. And that is the greatest asset of white people. White people, the disunity of black people is the greatest blessing of white people. Now, we need to get to work, my leader, we need to get to work. Find ways. That is why and start preaching black unity in their churches. Start preaching an agenda of black people and saying, Asien la paya bagiti. I say to people, we are too much involved in whole night prayers. Have you ever heard go Rima Baruna whole night prayer? There's no whole night prayer there. CRC, there's no whole night prayer. Instead of having whole night strategic thinking sermons or sessions.
Yes.
No, we are going to whole night prayers. And by the way, there are some of them are going to send me very nasty WhatsApp and SMSs.
Yeah. You know, now that you said that, Nauka Easter, and actually let me just go back a bit. My father, who was also a priest in Kofora, he ended up cutting the sins military when there are funerals, or even like a Easter. And now this year, just before the Easter, I posted, and for some people it seemed like a joke, but also deliberately I put it that way, to say, especially for black Christians, let's make sure that when we come back after a long weekend going back to work, we are not exhausted. Because I've seen that when such holidays come, we are in the church the whole weekend. We don't even have time for family. We don't even have time for ourselves. And I think for me, that's the the bad positioning of what being Christian means, you know, and probably that's something that we have to.
I have a comment on that. You know, when you go for an operation, they anesthetize you, whatever you call it. They put anesthetic on you.
Yes.
Okay, so that whatever they do, you don't feel the pain.
Yeah.
You know that you don't feel the pain.
Yes.
And now, what also happens with us as black people is that we've been anesthetized
Uh,
not to feel our own pain.
yes, yes, yes.
The honale anesthesis engwe or we should be numb to our own pain. And those are two things. Religion. Religion will make your eyes focused in the sweet by and by and forget the pain you find yourself in. And the second challenge, the second aspect, is that we are raising a generation who are over-entertained and under-challenged. Bajaifa weekend kaofela. Friday to Sunday morning, and they go to work.
Actually,
Those two things, we must find a way of addressing them. Because we need to be very deliberate, intentional, and sober in our minds to build ourselves. And we cannot think praying for the whole night will solve our political and economic problems. If that was the case, Africa would be the most liberated continent because there's no continent where prayer takes place more than what it does in Africa.
Yes, eh?
Yes. Africa. And if prayer was to liberate you economically and politically, Africa would be liberated.
A friend sent me a video of somebody from Nigeria who said India has got more population than Nigeria, which is true. But Nigeria has come to overtake India in terms of poverty. However, the number of churches have skyrocketed. So we definitely have got something deeper, really deeper. In my view, a challenging conversation.
So,
you've got this question.
Yes.
Black men, are you stupid?
Yes.
Answer this question for us.
I will not answer this question, honestly. No. The question is, buy the book, read the book, then let's talk about it.
Yes.
But in a nutshell, I'll say, a black man is not stupid. But there are lots of stupid things that he does.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
In a nutshell.
Yes.
In a nutshell, I'd say there are a lot of stupid things that we do. We are not stupid.
Yeah.
But hey, the number of stupid things that we do are countless.
Yes.
But read the book. Read the book.
With an open mind.
With an open mind. It's a very interesting book to read. You will enjoy it.
Yeah.
I get very good reviews and good comments about the book. It's unfortunate that I tried to put it through exclusive books and they found it to be too controversial. But that's fine. It shows that it's got a cutting edge message. And I love it because it's got a cutting edge message.
You know, it said like...
gloves off.
When my book, there was an organization. The guy comes from Kronstadt, but he stays in the Valley. He opened African Flavor Books. I don't know, but one of the reasons is that he could not get financial backing. Ultimately, the bookshop was closed. It was one of the shops based in Braamfontein. He had opened one in Vanderbijl, you know. So he was giving up and coming, but also black people a chance to read, and also involved. To, like you say, to put to get a platform where the books can be sold. But anyway, if exclusive books find it too controversial, there are different ways in which the messages can be communicated of late.
It is on Amazon. It is on Take a Lot. But I prefer it better if we can communicate directly, and then you can buy it from me and I courier it to you. It's even cheaper than what you would get. Even if you buy it from me, I courier it to you. You will pay far less than what you would pay from Amazon or Take a Lot.
Okay. Before I ask you the last question that we never leave this podcast without asking.
Yes.
I'm interested, and please don't say come to the church. I'll come, don't worry.
Yes.
But I'm interested to find out how what is the Sunday in your church like? And I'll tell you why. There's something that, for some reason, when I woke up this morning, I just went through TikTok, and then voila, there was that Jerry Pell. Is it Jerry Mufuk? Not Mufukeng, the comedian like Tako Emzin Vesinsis.
Okay, yes.
And there's this video where he was interviewed by Koko Kaya FM by Thabo Mokwele, and he says, Nike Felitza Kerek. Yes, every time yes, Sunday, I already know.
Yeah.
And I think the high, I mean, when you really peel the onion and you think carefully about what he's saying, is that it becomes routine, it becomes the norm.
Yes.
Preachers open up the chapter and they regurgitate what they have read without impacting me and say, what does this message say to you in this day and era? And that's what I'm reading in what he's saying, and it would be interesting to listen to you talking Black economics behind the pulpit.
Yes. There are 2 sermons that I've put on YouTube.
Okay.
And if you go to Pastor Sakhile Sibiya, CCC OG.
Yes.
Yeah. Pastor Sakhile Sibiya, CCC OG.
Yeah.
And then watch those videos.
Okay.
Cutthroat videos. Cutthroat videos. Now, even in my congregation, people are not yet comfortable with me coming and liberating their enslaved Black minds. Believe you me, I do. Like the last 3 Sundays, I was running a sermon on Black economic emancipation.
Yes.
It was a 3-part series. And other people from my church said, we're not coming to listen to that. We want hallelujah.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Okay. So there was a drop in attendance. Okay, that's fine. That's a journey that one has to travel.
Yeah.
Okay. But I am not going to stop. Sometimes I preach good gospel message. But what I always try and do is that I want to preach a message that you can wake up on Monday morning and apply. That's what. And when I prepare a sermon, with the understanding that I want you to wake up on Monday morning after service and be able to apply this sermon. It's not a sermonary. I don't go much into the sermons of the beast with 7 heads in the book of Revelation. I leave that for other people. I want to empower you to live an effective life when you wake up on Monday morning.
Life 101 lesson. That when you look at your life in totality up to where you are, if you were to leave that to a young boy growing up, a young girl growing up, a adult who hasn't found themselves, an adult that has found themselves, but you say, this observation in life has shaped who I am. You might have dropped a few of those, but I just would like you to look at it.
I'd say I was invited to the USA one day by a friend of mine to participate in a conference, which was a conference run by a church, Friendship West Baptist Church. Okay, and you can also watch them on YouTube. Watch their YouTube.
Okay.
The pastor, every Sunday, within his sermon, addresses the pain of Black people and suggests a way of dealing and overcoming the pain. That caught my attention. that hears a pastor, any sermon, he will find a way of, for a couple of minutes, addressing the pain, the frustration of black people, and issuing a solution. And then he will go into the Word of God and preach about the resurrection of Jesus. That became a very serious defining moment in my life, because I found somebody who in my mind is not just heavenly minded, but is earthly useful. In my mind, is not just heavenly minded, but is earthly useful.
On that note, as bold.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
No, really appreciate it. It's a conversation that was long overdue. It's a conversation that will make you uncomfortable. But ask yourself a question: if you end up being uncomfortable, what is the reason for that discomfort? And actually, the answer lies in unpacking and unpeeling. Peeling that onion. Because we have to face the truth. We have to face the truth if we are going to liberate ourselves psychologically, spiritually, economically, and otherwise. Take the lessons so that you can look at your world differently if you want to make a change in this world. Putting your head in the sand, it is not going to change your situation. Face the consequences of this discomfort and become a better person. Until the next episode, thank you.